I'm learning how it works on specific poems, and each one is a little different.
Mhm.
So how I would apply scansion to my own work, I still haven't gotten that far yet because I'm still learning how it works, what it is, and it applies to Shakespeare, it applies to Patrick Kavanagh's work. Um, yeah, so that answers the question as to what I am reading, The Secret Life of Poems, and many of them are still a secret to me.
Mhm.
Well, may they remain so, because
Oh, thank
it's the mystery that is the sauce,
And it was a gift that was given to me when I was in Ireland by one of the Cultivating Live poets.
Ah,
Yes,
even more special.
yes.
Well, I was also partly asking that question by way of answering your question too. It recalled, I don't know who the hell said this, some either reviewer or poetry critic or a poet. It was in print, and noted how so many poets don't do it because they are instinctively doing it or have learned
Mhm.
to make that part of, again, the process. And so they don't have to be going back to anything so overt because they've already absorbed it. But I don't think they can absorb it without first, going through the entire process you're going through, which was, again, part of my question about how you were responding to what you were reading.
I'm learning, and my purpose for being here tonight is to listen and learn. I won't be reading, so I can just absorb new information.
I jumped in the middle of this conversation, but I'm picking up you're talking about scansion or using meter to
Yeah.
write poems. I can share my own experience in that I tried to do that at times, and I found that it really didn't work, and that my ear was a much better judge of the language flowing than trying to do the meter things. I did test it. I would write a couple of sonnets in which I tried to conform to what I thought scansion was, and it just didn't work. And so I simply gave up on it, and I trust my own ear. And I should say that when I write, even my fiction, I read it all aloud.
Ooh.
Excellent, Greg.
And
Excellent.
and
Yes, I think I think all great authors do that. I mean, if it sounds like you're speaking it, or if it sounds right, if it flows, then any kind of other formula sort of gets in the way, especially if you're writing a lot. Yes, no?
Which again kind of circles back to how, you know, when we hopefully are at the point, and we all hopefully are, of, creating a poem, we are bringing all of this, to it subconsciously because we've already absorbed from having written so much, from having read so much, from having the give and take, like, this very evening.
Right.
And it does, yeah, it gets ingrained. Your ear becomes tuned. It's that old, if you put 10,000 hours into anything, you're going to become, pretty good at it.
Right.
So
I'm trying to figure out how to go back over 30 years and figure out how many hours I've spent doing this. It's more than
that'll take you 10,000 hours to figure that out. So I don't know.
I think so. I think so. Do you know, I have to tell you something bizarre happened just before I came to the meeting. And I don't know what to make of it, but I thought it'd be kind of amusing for you to hear this. And you don't know, we don't know each other well, but you have to know that I come from a long, long line of critical, hypertensive, negativist, Jewish, Russian, whatever. Heritage, Russian Jew. So in other words, I need very little prompting to walk around with a lot of negativity in my head and self-criticism. So came in the mail. I belong to the Woodstock Jewish congregation, And we had a Zoom earlier today, as a matter of fact. We frequently have Zoom classes. And we had one yesterday, one today. And I just opened this envelope, which comes from Hartford, Connecticut. And there's no address but Hartford, Connecticut. It says Hartford, Connecticut 060. So there's no actual address. And there's, no return. And the inclusion was simply a postcard with a very cute little hippopotamus on it. Looks like a sculpture, ceramic. And there's no signature on this message. And it seems to be from the British Museum, the image. And I'm thinking, what an interesting thing to send. And it says, Dear Joan, I write with an open heart to you as someone so beautiful, so gifted, so accomplished, and perhaps over generous in your sharing. In the WJC class with almost 20 students, you win as the person taking the most time to speak. Please know you are appreciated, and please speak as one of many, i.e., much less. We would appreciate you more if we would hear from you less.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Wow,
Howard, but really,
wow.
And it's anonymous.
it's totally anonymous, and it's got this cute little card, and it looks like, I mean, I never receive mail, personal mail like that. I'm opening something that's got a handwritten signature, address on it, and I'm thinking, how lovely, somebody sent me a greeting card or something. And
It sounds like part of a conceptual art project. It really does. I mean, I used to do things not quite like that, but mail things to the first person on page whatever of the phone book when there were phone books in the 20 biggest metropolitan areas in the country, and they all said the same thing, and but not as personal as yours.
It's very specific.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be so creepy to go to the classes there. I go to several different Zoom classes, and
mhm.
I won't know which one or what's going on. And I'm very self-aware. I'm aware that I talk a lot. I'm also aware that I sit and wait, and after a number of minutes, and the teacher's asking, does anybody have a comment, and nobody's saying anything, and I've always got things to share or things to ask. So I go ahead. I very consciously wait, and then nobody else goes, I go. But I'm also very aware that that means I'm the one who's speaking more frequently. And
Yeah.
what the hell? I'm a frustrated, unemployed, never employed professor. And so I profess a lot, whether you want it or not.
I was going to say you could try to get the fingerprints of everybody in the class, but it's a Zoom class, right?
Zoom class.
Yeah.
And some of them do probably show up to the synagogue, which I do on Saturday mornings, but there's also, I've already handled it myself, so there's only one visible little fingerprint that I can see. And that would be kind of interesting. But anyway, fuck you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Usually start, it's Ken's going to take the reins here. I just want to say that our feature isn't here yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I was,
Well, you could always use
I was
do the
literally
feature as
just,
the last person, right?
yeah,
The
yeah, I was
stones go
literally,
on last, and so we're just the warm-up group.
Right.
yeah, it actually coincidental that you mentioned that for a completely different reason. But I just sent her an email mentioning here we are. So there's that. And the coincidental part was I had also started to not started, I chatted Greg just before the meeting and asking if he would like to be, I'd like to have somebody up first, one of the open micers, before we get into the feature. Of course, at that moment, I didn't know the feature was MIA, and may she not remain so for long. So I think we'll give it, usually give it to the proverbial 7:15, right? So we got 2 minutes. Again, I have sent, oh, connected to audio. Oh, I thought it might have been her because I saw my name there. So we'll give it 2 more minutes, and yeah, we might all be the warm-up act. Oh,
Thank you.
look who is here. Oh my.
I'm sorry, I did not have the correct link. So yeah.
Woohoo. Glad I sent that along. So great, excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're done trashing you. So now that you're here, it's all good.
I apologize. Yes, I'm usually never this late, but thank you for sending the link. Thank you.
Well, you actually don't know the protocol of CAPS, which is we never begin at 7. We begin at 7:15. So you're actually a minute early. All right.
Yay. Awesome.
You can bounce off and come back on again. That's great.
Okay.
It's great to see you.
Thank you.
For sure. Okay, good. So hell yeah, this is, I mean, honestly, your timing couldn't be better. So, as a great way to actually begin the proceedings. And you could see that within your coming on, we've had a couple of other people, who have tuned in here. So, which is why we're going to give it to the full 7:15 before any official proceedings. Okay. So we're close. I will provide the banter, and Greg touched on this, that I am hosting this evening, and doing so instead of Mr. Djokovic, because Mike, in another wonderful coincidence, as it were, or resonance with our feature this evening, is being recognized by Ulster County and inaugurated as the Poet Laureate of that county. So he's off with drinking, bad wine and probably some rubber chicken. So it's all good. We may be having the better evening. I'm not sure. Okay, so as a part of also getting us underway, I'm looking at the screen and I'm going to be jotting down names of those who would like to be part of the open mic. I'm going to go. Not that I'm going to call it in this order, but I'm going to go by the screen here. Liz, are you a yay or nay? You're a yay. Yeah. Joan may be singing. Jim, Mr. Zimmerman, yes.
Oh,
yeah. There's 2, and Mr. C. You guys are next to each other on my screen, so
very cool.
That's great. Jim Z and Jim S. Sounds like Marvel superheroes. Seth, how are you doing? Would you like to read? I hope. Yes. And Donna, blank screen Donna, you can come down when you can and let me know if you'd like to.
I won't be reading. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. It's a yes for Donna.
No,
yes
no.
Oh, that's a no for Donna. Okay.
It's a no.
Okay. Well, even that gets recorded in the official proceedings of the evening. Margie? That's sign language. I can't quite read it. I know you're trying to get off mute. Well, give me a thumbs up if yes. That's a no. Okay. Mr. Heeman.
Yes.
It'll be a pleasure to hear you as always. Mr. Bremner. All right. Kim. All right.
Well, if we're being formal with our Mr. This and our Mr. That, then you might as well call me Dr. Goodman.
I will.
I hear it about once every 2 years. I forget until somebody reminds me. Just call me Doc. I thought it would make a good stage name.
Excellent. It's none too bad. It's none too bad. Okay, was it Kim? Hey, Salaam, you want to read? Yeah. So Michael, Mr. Austin. Yes. All right. And Mary Louise?
No, but thank you for asking.
Okay. Sage?
Yes, I'll be reading. Thank you for asking.
And Yolanda?
Not this evening.
Not this evening, okay. And Lynette? We'll give you a minute to get off mute or come back with your from wherever you may have strayed.
He always does want to read, so I would assume yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so what we're going to do is that normally we go right into the feature, and it will not be long, but I have to say, since I'm running the show tonight, just to change it up just a little bit, I'd love to begin with one open micer, and then we'll introduce Salaam. And since Greg Correll, who was our webmaster, always reads last, forever, let's give him a little bit more of his due. And I would love if Greg could start off our open mic.
Okay. The first poem I'm going to read is my effort at a submission for this year's Resistance Anthology. Recognizing, as I do, that it's so almost impossible to write political polemic that really means something, that pierces through cliche and tries to get at the wriggling, sort of struggle inside of all of us when tyrants take hold. So I don't know if I've succeeded with this or not. I really don't. I like it, but I think it could be better. Wind and rain, rain and wind. Ordinary dignity. Kicks the mic fantastic. Fuck you, bruh. I'm in your body cam. I scream and writhe in manic phase like nothing else ever. I am a democracy of heat lamps, turds, plasma screens, carburetors, prehistoric taxis. The battle is drawn fists at 50. Wind and rain, rain and wind. Writhe here in tight order. Everyone compared to what? And I'm trying to make it real. No giving up for one. All giving up is now off the table. Pinochet, Mao, Leopold II, Patui, Kim Jong-un, Franco, Pol Pot, Kozescu, SETH, Trujillo, Batista, Duvalier, Somoza, Noriega, Perón. Fuck. It was always coming to us. El Norte. Gird your loins. Face up and fire back. Words are the weapons of liberty. Own this, the narrative of now. We've seen these sandwiches before. Can't give up. Our hands are full of batons. Our turn now. I hold and so do you. Writhing tumulars, tight together voters, and wind and rain, rain and wind. Evil has dominion. The war has come home. I say, love will win. I say, a heart is a mighty hammer. I say, perish this coil gladly if it gets us one holy inch.
Say it, baby. Tell it to God. You're incredible.
Okay.
We could always, we could always count on Greg to give us a light introduction to the evening. So
Not like you can count on Greg to tell the truth.
and to do it magnificently. Yeah.
I'll try another shorter one here, without a preface. Cathars of Languedoc. I stay in my southernmost mindset, a sunny northerner. Racks of pressed duck, several hang in the window. No tinsel, but there are red and green lights, so Xmas. In my murk, a whiskery punum swims closer, nudges bait. Carp yearn for fishermen's dough balls, old man bait. An irresistible and without eternal life, harmless bread dredged under the waters. The headstone is just your name. The experiment takes the long view. The first, I say the first bifurcated souls.
Mhm.
Boy.
I'll stop there.
Yeah, well done. Thank you. Okay. Really, thank you for setting the evening with the quality for that. So let me introduce our feature. Salaam Green was named the inaugural Poet Laureate of historic Birmingham, Alabama, 2024 through 2026. The prestigious position recognizes Ms. Green's outstanding contributions to the literary arts and her commitment to fostering a deeper appreciation for poetry within the community in Birmingham. She is the 2024 Literary Arts Awardee, and her works are published in the Alabama Arts Journal, Southern Women's Review, and Black Joy Anthology. Salaam is the founder of Literary Healing Arts and is a certified listener, poet, and artist in residence with the University of Alabama at Birmingham Arts in Medicine program and Wallace Center for the Arts. Salaam is racial healer through the Kellogg Foundation, and she is the 2018 Southern Writer Awards recipient for Southern Writing. She is the chapbook author of Once Upon a Magic City, and Salaam to debut full-length poetry collection in 2024 with Holy Press, which I imagine may actually be out at this moment. And if so, please do, or Greg will find it and we'll put the link to your book in the chat. So without further ado, Salaam, here you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. And thank you so much for your patience, but thank you so much for having this space. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and to speak in this space. And first of all, thank you so much to Greg. Come on, Greg. You know, I was like, let's just go. Let's just go with Greg tonight. Let's go with Greg tonight. Yes. Oh, yes. I feel some camaraderie in the spirit here in this space. So thank you so much to Caps and to this open mic and this entire series, and also to Mike, who in his new role, for asking me to come, and to the moderators. Tonight, I'm going to read a few poems from a few spaces and a few collections that I have poetry in. And then I'm also going to just talk a little bit about those as well. But I'm really excited to hear from you all. So I'm going to make sure that I do my part and then just leave some space for the wonderful poets who are in this room tonight as we gather tonight together. The first poem that I'm going to read comes from some of the work I do as a certified listener poet through the Good Listening Project. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Good Listening Project, but you most definitely can look it up. The Good Listening Project certifies poets and people who would like to use poetry as a tool for better listening and for healing. I work in a hospital setting as an artist in residence, and part of my work is to sit with people, listen to their stories, and write custom poems and custom poetry, particularly for caregivers and healthcare professionals who are experiencing burnout and who would like to enhance resiliency in their lives. Also, some of the work I do is also with folks who are in palliative care, who are towards the end of life, and I do legacy poetry for palliative care to leave a lasting poem for their for loved ones who are passing away. So I want to read some of that two poems from the series of listening poetry that I do with folks. And one of the themes I'm on this year is love. So I thank you so much, Greg, for bringing in love as well. This first poem is called The Harvest of the Generous. And this was done for the American Academy of Hospice and Palliative Medicine. Imagine a pilgrim on a bench, sitting, then disappearing. The sun hiding, wandering behind gracious red cliffs. Imagine that you are the pilgrim that no one sees. Your light only remains as a microscopic beam of a grandparent's memory. Imagine sidewalks that stretch to the sky, lifting your spirit into the air. Imagine a pathfinder finding their wings. Imagine that you are a pilgrim on a journey towards carrying your spirit across the plains of this earth, a pathfinder finding its wings. Imagine that you are well, we are well, all is well. Thank you. Now, I know all ain't well, y'all. I'm from Alabama, right? I'm from not just Alabama, but I am in Birmingham, Alabama. So, and I know that I have some people on here who probably are from the South as well, or have some Alabama stories or some Birmingham stories, or I've never been to Birmingham or Alabama stories. So I really appreciate the opportunity to sit back and just be myself and to say that we are in a time where I know everything isn't all well. But from a poet standpoint, we are able to do what? To take a microscopic beam into the future, and perhaps with that beam, bring back some seeds of hope. And hope doesn't always have to feel good or be a space where people aren't accountable. It just needs to be. And so I want to read another poem about hope and joy. People oftentimes ask me, because I live in the South, I live in Birmingham, the first poet laureate, so I'm very excited to be the first poet laureate, but also with Alabama, Birmingham, and also being a Black woman and the storied past of civil rights, people always want me to do some of those kinds of poems, and I do. I'm a very justice-oriented person, have been a racial healer for many years with the Kellogg Foundation. But people are always surprised when I say, hey, I think I want to talk a little bit about joy. Because my grandmother used to say, and if you are a spiritual person, you may have heard it, but there's one thing that people can't take away, and that's my joy. That's your joy. And this poem is called Joy is Enough. On the wall in her home lies a masterpiece. A quilted picture textile blessing the room from the light of a dear patient. The brightness of life, the warmth of transitions flower into sweet existence where a family breaks bread, dogs bark, and love is a bird. Song sparrows in the winter whistling reminders to listen to life's lessons of swift transitions. Nature expands, calling her into its healing embrace. Go travel, go flourish, go grow, go be curious, go walk, go clip your wings, go mother to your son's wedding. Song sparrows in the winter, becoming time to dance. Peacefully finding the voice of Joshua's tree as the warmth of a long day sounds as if the chirping of that bird could give us the light of the moon. Speaking, go travel, go flourish, go grow, into the unknown. Go be curious. Go relax in gratitude. Go be joy. Declare, I am enough. Thank you. So I love it. Y'all are so awesome. I hope y'all are feeling good. I love this. I don't know about you, but this is life sustaining. I know y'all know it because you're like, this is what we do. We've been doing this. We know how life sustaining it is. We are here. Absolutely. But for such a time as this. So I have 2 more poems that I would love to read and then turn it back over to the wonderful people, to the wonderful moderators and to each poet who's here today. Some of the other work that I do, I had a poet in residency at a space called the Wallace House Plantation, which is a former in a plantation for folks who were enslaved. And so I worked at this Wallace Plantation as a poet, and most people are like, oh, that sounds like weird. And it was kind of weird because it's not an antebellum home. It is a unfinished house that is being restored towards an art and reconciliatory space. And as a poet in residence, as I worked there, I worked on my upcoming book, and I'm also worked on 2 poems that I want to share with you tonight. And one of those poems is, if you're from rural Alabama or even rural any space, if you're in New York or you're wherever you are, in rural spaces, there are always things that you sometimes find and see that kind of pique your attention. In this rural space, there is an old bicycle that sits on the side of the road. Just this old white bicycle. And somebody has decorated the bicycle with artificial plastic flowers. And this bicycle is white and it's rusted all the way down to the metal part of the rust, where you can almost see the green parts that is coming up from the mold. And it sits on a pole next to a yellow road sign. And someone came and put plastic, beautiful flowers around this decaying ghost bicycle. And this is what this poem is about. Outside Harpersville, a ghost bicycle. On the road to the old Wallace House Plantation, next to a field, is an old white bicycle, decorated with plastic flowers, faded now. A ghost bicycle left after someone died riding here. The bicycle is leaning against a tree to decorate this ground, as if the ancestors glided that bicycle down from heaven and placed it on this road in Shelby County, Alabama, where all of us passerby would know that bicycles have wings. So my next poem, thank you. I love claps. We do, don't we, poets? We love, we love to know we're listening and we're hearing and giving claps and love. I appreciate it. Part of that work that I did as an artist, a poet in residence on this beautiful, in this space in rural Alabama at this old enslaved plantation house, was working with Black descendants of enslaved folks who still live in the town and working with white descendants of the enslaver. So that is what my upcoming book, The Other Revival, is about. It's about, I interviewed descendants of the white enslaver, so interview white folks, and then interviewed Black descendants who were actually descendants of those persons who were enslaved at that plantation, and interviewed both of them about homecoming and what revival means. But for about 3 years, I was a poet in residence there, so I spent a lot of time privately there. And part of spending that time there, of course, you have to know something about myself. I didn't spend time there at night or anything. So I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I was like, no, the minute that the street light came on, I was like, okay, let me leave this plantation because the last place I need to be found on is this plantation, right? But lots of strange things did happen there. And anytime people would go there, they would always ask, well, Salaam, do you feel? I'm like, I feel what you feel. Did you hear? I hear what you hear. Do you see? So the last poem that I'm going to read, which is a dedication to us and a dedication to life, is a poem about someone's name that we found in the registry of enslaved people who were being sold. So the United States Census has a registry of people who were sold as slaves. And you can go and look it up in any city or any state. When I looked at this particular census and I looked at the names of those people who were enslaved at the Wallace Plantation from post the Civil War, post Reconstruction, just looking at those names, there was one name that stood out. And then this name that stood out was a enslaved Black woman in her early 20s. And her name was Grief Wallace. Grief Wallace. Someone named their baby girl Grief in the 1800s. And Grief Wallace was enslaved on a plantation in rural Alabama as a beautiful Black woman and girl. And this poem is dedicated to grief. It's called With Love for Grief, which I believe is all dedicated to us as well. We're all grief today, I think. With love for grief. Dear Grief, did you know you were a poet, a magician, a living, breathing gift to the universe? Did you know? Dear Grief, did you realize that millions of years of love and war and birth and death and phenomenon beyond your reasoning all conspired to deliver you? Did you know? Dear Grief, you are not metaphorically, not conceptually, but actually and literally a miracle. Do you know how wonderful it is that you exist? Seriously, Grief, do you know? Dear Grief, today we step back and take in the totality of your existence. You are a creation of divine proportion, a promise of eternal perfection on this plane of existence. You are love. You are grace. You are war. You are warrior. You are mother. You are auntie. You are sister. You are girl. Dear Grief, do you know? Are you listening? Can you hear this? Dear Grief, I hope you do. I love you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. And thank you for featuring me. This has been a very beautiful experience. And I am so grateful. And I have so much gratitude to be in this space. Thank you so much.
Loved every word of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all just, still taking it in. It's like the aftershocks,
Yeah.
for sure.
In chat, we talk about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are many comments here.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I was going to echo what Greg just said. You should check out the whiteboard, as it were, on the side to see all the comments that were coming in about your words and your music. And
Yes.
I don't know if you actually utilized all the prescribed minutes that you could have, or just went by a little fast because of the actual poetry. But we are going to begin the open mic. But Salaam, I would invite you, if I could call you back to read one more poem at some point in the open mic and give you a little chance to figure out, which one you'd like to read. Probably
Yes.
somewhere around the third or fourth spot or so. So it's not quite a pop quiz because I gave you a heads up, but it's not too far away.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. I'll be
Okay.
ready. Thank y'all.
Excellent. Okay, so for the open mic, I'm also going to put a little twist on this, and I'm going to call out ahead of time, like the rolling three readers. So the open micers will have a chance to know they're coming up and should be ready to read. The third Thursday is structured as a be the feature, like up to 10 minutes. Mostly that doesn't happen. Mostly it's a few poems or one poem or 5 minutes or whatever it is, but we have about 10 or 11 readers. So we should be manageable no matter how you look at this. So I'm going to announce the first three readers. First will be Michael Austin, then Ron Bremner, then Lynette. And with that said, Michael, get spotlighted.
Hello, definitely. Thank you, Salaam. That was wonderful. I was researching the stuff you were saying. I'm looking you up as everything's going, not to be rude, but I wasn't expecting to go first, and I didn't. I was invited here by Yolanda just at 7 o'clock, so I'm glad to be here, everybody. It's my first time here. And as you wrote about grief, I actually have a piece about grief as well that I would like to share. Sorry. So this is a letter from grief. Don't worry, I'll sit with you. We can dangle our legs on tall chairs as our feet tell each other tall tales about how it used to be. I'll believe you. When no one else can understand how you feel, let those tears fall. You've become so accustomed to holding them in. When you met me, I knew exactly where to start. Don't wipe them away, I'll catch you. When your trust falls underground, when you're too afraid to scream out loud, send it to your heart and let me hear it. I can't help you remember unless you let me in. I'll never stop trying. My door is always open. Consider me a museum of your history with them. And I'm not jealous or upset that you thought you could do this without me. I've attached myself to every loss in your life. Our meeting was inevitable. Sincerely, grief. Okay, and I'll do 2 more pieces. I'm actually working on, thank you, Liz. I'm actually working on a submission for a fellowship, the Ruth and Lily Fellowship, I believe it is called. And I have a few friends that are helping me edit it. And a part of it is a shorter collection that I'm working on titled The Minimization of the Black Man. So I'm gonna read that poem, and then each step actually has a poem as well, which I'll read one of those. The minimization of the Black man. The first step in minimizing the Black man is telling him that his voice is soft. This is the first mask he will wear. He will deepen his voice, forcing him to be mature for his age. Step 2 is cutting his hair. But when it becomes too unruly for you to handle, you will be the first to dethrone him by cutting off his crown, and you won't be the last. Step 3 is giving him a ball. He will now know that his success will depend on how good his ability to be boxed into the parameters of a court is, or even a field. Step 4 is giving him a dream. Not his, but yours. For he will only dream to not be another statistic. Step 5 is the school to prison pipeline. A fairy tale that fares well when you don't tell him that he can be whatever he wants to be. Step 6 is letting boys be boys. For when you don't check him, they will eventually arrest him. Step 7 is his poem, for he can't even read it. And this last piece, it's off of step 3, Give Him a Ball. So I've been working on the voice of this poem, playing around with who's actually speaking. So you can decide as you hear it who the speaker is. Step 3, give him a ball. In order to create an idol in you, I must first show you one. You will be the new Messiah. This is the only way it can be done. Keep your eye on the prize, the goal, the basket. Just make sure you stay in those lines, boy. You cannot escape. It's in your nature to perform, to utilize who we are and what you know. Put on a show for them. I mean us. I'm sorry. For a second, I forgot this serves everyone. After all, I mean, you've got to do this. Yeah, you may be new to this, but we are true to this. What other way are you going to succeed? This is what you need. We have to toughen you up one way or another. Who cares if it's free labor? These transferable skills were already transferred to you. It's only right that you honor those that came before you. Leave the door open so everyone can see your blood, your sweat, your tears, the profitable purpose ordained to you from birth. Your worth is inside of these lines, boy. I only want to see you running if it's on a track filled with others just like you. There will always be another. Taller, stronger, faster, able to listen to instructions. Listen to me, your worth is inside of these lines, boy. I'm going to make good money off of you one day, just like the rest of them. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, and you have some similar comments in chat as well from your words. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Did you mention that's the Ruth Lillis fellowship?
Yeah, the Ruth and Lily Foundation Fellowship.
Yeah, Ruth and Lily Foundation, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's quite prestigious, and there's a
yeah. So it's my first big submission. I've also submitted to the Fine Artworks Fellowship that would be runs from August through I want to say April, and that submission I'll know about that one in May. But yeah, just kind of keeping it moving and getting inspiration where I can.
You have the silent hope of everybody out there on mute. So, okay, Ron Bremner, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to read 4 poems, none of them very long. The first one was published, or will be published this month in the Platform Review. It's called Something Wicked. Something wicked this way comes, foretold Shakespeare's witches in Macbeth. Sweet, my love, but surely you know that not everything is wicked in this world. Kindness somehow does prevail in some domains, and it is known to spread its roots in life-affirming rains. But when an outburst of floodwaters of hate happens and mass destruction reigns, hope goes down the street drains. The intention to rebuild cannot resolve the loss. A lack of trust in humanity increases the cost. Scars remain that simply cannot heal. Survivors have hurt that they can still feel. Don't save your tears for sweet revenge to brighten up your day. Before you, my life was a hollow bone, lacking pith and marrow. I was caught in a piercing snare, trapped by the uncaring claws of eagles. Every moment accounted for minutes wasted, hours of repetitious boredom. I smile, but my emptiness is still showing. Someone tell me honestly, why am I here? Or am I here at all? Are you there? And the second one, yeah. Let's see. Okay. This is the town of forgotten origins. History is erased here. Sticks and stones won't break your bones here. Send no signals, the line is busy. If you make this your home, a summer wind will blow an unsolved mystery through your garden at night. Enjoy the breeze and rest for a spell before anyone realizes that you're gone. The strange shadows here are working to mend the tear in the poetic justice of your limits. And number 3, let's see. Monkeys on my back seethe in their simmering fury. They taste my truth and it burns their tongues. I no longer try to get them off my back. They've become something of a status symbol. I can use their anger for my own ends, an excuse for everything I fail at. And finally, in this tarnished town of no regrets, where dead people pretend to be alive and paint peels from structures of hate, I walk the streets, beholden and vanquished, but determined to salvage a future for us and carry a fiery torch without a plan of how and when to use it, to burn all the corpses that stink up this town and rebuild it from their ashes. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
You're muted, Ken.
You know, believe me, it's better that way. So before I bring up Lynette, let me announce the 3 poets who will follow. We'll have Bob Heeman, Seth, and Sage. So Lynette, you're up.
Thank you so much, and good evening from the Virgin Islands. I'll do 2 pieces. Oh, and before I start, awesome feature. Thank you so much for sharing those inspiring words. The first piece is called The Door of My Conscience. Is this my chronicle of Narnia moment as I walk to the pink door of my conscience? It's feathered with roses of pastel colors, hinged in greenery, a subdued cover. Will I explore new idea dimensions? Will inside disclose my wicked intentions? I take these steps with reckless worry, obtuse contemplations, a fairy tale story, new possibilities of fresh discoveries, or dark revelations, a broken story. This door, the entrance to my warped mind, signifying the beauty of my uphill climbs, a testimony weathered by the claws of time, splattered by nature's glorious design. That's the first piece. And the next piece, and by the way, these pieces were written today based on some prompts. This next piece is called These Fists. Fist of fire, that's what they call them. Rapid succession, blows to those who disrespect, worse than the proverbial foot. These fists of fury, when landed, pack danger. The jury will deliver a not guilty verdict because this force is only unleashed when provoked and coerced. To retort and respond with like brutality. The aim is never to use these hands for violence. These fists should be pumped for justice, uprooting wicked accomplices, standing up for the rights of others, hands better used for nurture, loving nature. Let these fists be a testament, consistent replica of God's handiwork, and a vehicle for doing good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynette. You know, always such a flow and a pattern to your work. So always delightful to listen. Okay, Bob Heeman, you're up.
Okay. 3 short poems. Laughing. They laugh at the cook because he is not a bear. and at the priest because he is not a tree. They laugh at the dawn because it arrives too late, and at the sea because it cannot be described. They understood that adjectives were the wrong kind of solution, and that the verbs would only arrive once it was too late. Each man who entered, an exception to the rule of pairs. Was. What was found, the outline of. The woman or zebra, only an imitation of what was imagined. Each word spoken, used as an adjective, even if it was not. Plot. They found the smoking gun. They found the red herring. Thank you.
You know, I'm always, as you know, I'm just such a fan of yours. I'm always bowled over by your work. There's a level of absurdity
Thank
that
you so much.
you just need to dig two inches deep, and you find, oh my God, there's so much going on here. You know, so and you pull it off with a plume. So it's just terrific. So thank you again.
Thanks.
Seth, bring it on.
I agree, Ken. Bob, that was wonderful. I'm gonna
Thank you.
try something a little different here. I recently issued or had released an audiobook of my poetry collection, A Black Odyssey, but it's me reciting my poems, performing my poems to music. I use 28 different musicians. I'm going to attempt to play a couple of them. If you like them, I will invite you to email me and I can send you a complimentary digital copy if you will agree to do a review on it. But first, let's see if I can if I can play it. Let me try, let me, here, let's do this one. Sorry, okay. Let me know if you can hear this. I don't hear anything. Can you hear anything?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, let me try something else here. Get rid of this. You go back. I've shared screen, but I've never shared audio before. Let me stop this and try again something else. That's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Well,
hold on.
we're with you on your hunt and peck here.
Okay, I appreciate your patience. Okay, share again. And see, I did that. Here it says share sound. I did that already. I did that.
Seth, there's a comment in the chat says from Michael saying if your audio is going to your headphones, you may have to change it to the computer speaker, which may already be in effect. You know, there you go. All right, here's hope.
Okay, this is not working. I can try maybe one more thing. I can hear that. Can you hear that?
Sometimes up is underground on a subterranean veranda. New sound percolating, new language, half mantra, half howl. When iambic pentameter has reached its limit, and a bloody continent eclipses the spastic sky where the sun wears false eyelashes and every dandelion becomes a critic. When Humpty Dumpty is tumbling down, sometimes up is underground. So when the heart's voltage assumes fetal position, and the flies in your mustard crack a wan smile, consult the long-haired spiders chewing cobwebs, dance with roaches, chat with Frankenstein. Don't let that cat in your tree fade with a frown. Get your soggy soul down under. 'Cause sometimes up is underground.
Okay, first I want to check to see if you heard that. Did you?
We did.
Okay, I'm going to do one more. It's short as well. Hold on. Ah. What have you done? You have slain the dragon, burned its carcass in the sun. You have hacked its limbs, its belly axed into 20 parts. But oh, St. George, you have left intact its heart. Though you've slit its wrist, gouged its eyes, shred its tongue, snapped its head off with a twist, though scale by green and wicked scale, you have sliced the beast apart. Oh, St. George, you have left intact its heart. Listen, hear its hoofbeats, its hammers, its iron wheels, its cattle cars roar. Feel the pulse of its trembling temples. Listen to the thump thump of children crying as they crawl across an ethnically cleansed floor. St. George. Put down that gong. The beast you buried yesterday is putting galoshes on. Waist deep in red rivers, you feed your fledgling crop. Oh, St. George, this dragon is a clever fox. Its claws now nuclear iron, its teeth of stainless steel, its mating call the screeching siren, while gravestones shake their heads in disgust. Oh, St. George, can we ever slay the dragon that is us?
Beautiful.
That's great.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us back from
I
from
don't know.
whoever said. Go ahead, Seth.
Ken, can you help me here? Go up share.
You appear to be out, and we appear to be back. So I say all is well.
Guys, give me a second. I don't know how to do this.
So I do have a question. I'm not qualified to do a review, but I also would like to buy a copy.
Hang on. I'm still trying to figure out how to stop this.
Well, Seth, while you're doing double duty here, do put your email
I
address.
can't even find the no longer share screen.
Well, probably if you just at the very least mute,
And
we won't be sharing in.
Can't entirely hear you.
I'm sorry, Seth, I thought you were done, so I turned off sharing.
Has it stopped?
Yes,
We
it
can't,
stopped.
whatever was continuing that you couldn't.
Host disabled participant share screening, so I can't do anything now. Can you let me share again so I can try it?
Okay.
With stars as only friends.
With her rum cake and finger pudding, Circe grows an old.
Has it stopped?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm so sorry, everyone.
No, it's all good. It's like the old Twilight. It's like the old Twilight Zone, do not, or was it Outer Limits? Do not attempt to adjust your television screen. We are in control.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little deceptive in that what you heard was sort of like singles, but actually each chapter runs from 10 to 20 minutes long, and it's all intertwined. As I said, if I will send you my email address, and if you're interested in listening to it, I can send you a code where you can get it for free. I did hear someone ask how they can purchase it.
Yes.
And just as I said, I'll send you my email address. Then you can send me what you would like. I would, when you do email me, put in audiobook, and I'll know exactly what you did. Also, I can send you another information on how you can just listen to different separate chapters as opposed to buying the whole thing. Really appreciate your hearing this. I need to work out the kinks. I would have liked to have had a screen where you could actually read the poem as you were listening, but I'm new at it. So I thank you all, and I look forward to
Well,
hearing everyone else.
Bye.
I couldn't have technically come anywhere near what you already did. And whoever said there was poetry and music and poetry may have just listened to your work. So, all right, so we're going to go on before Sage is up next, but just to announce that after Sage, we're going to have an encore from Salaam. And because I am the unpaid proxy host, I am going to follow Salaam. And then after me will be Kim Brandon. Okay, Sage, here we go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you I'm always so honored to share this space with everyone. Everyone's so talented. So I just have one piece for you all tonight. And it's entitled, It Makes Sense. Where does today stem from? What do you need to happen for your story to move forward? How do we reconcile the tiny pebbles of our past to breathe new life into us? When you're 12 years old, standing face to face with your 5th grade teacher, you should not be able to smell what she had for lunch. No child should be yelled at in front of the whole class. It makes sense why you'd be bad at math until years later, you realize you love numbers and just really hate being yelled at. When you're 15 years old, it makes sense why you fear confrontation when your teacher would make weird and belittling jabs at you. When you find yourself in a similar situation 10 years later, you start to understand that hurt people truly do hurt people. When you're 18 years old and have a boyfriend who can't handle any emotional depth and calls you the big C over text, you understand why it took a few years for you to speak up for yourself. When you're 24 years old, it makes sense to avoid the stress of your high-pressure job, that you fall into the laps of men who never pay you any mind. It makes sense that now kindness from a partner feels like the ultimate gift. When you're 27 years old, it makes sense that after all this time, you finally realize that at the other end of the phone, if no one is willing to answer or take responsibility, it is not all you. And how could it be? I've always picked up trauma at baggage claim that is not mine. And to move past this, we all look for the shift in the story, the hero's arc, the I won moment. And sure, my story has one just as much as yours does, but it is constantly changing, never complete. Feeling stuck in these confrontations, it feels like molasses, but understanding them is comforting and enlightening. I can imagine anyone who hears this would have a sign of recognition, a feeling of relation. I'm an emotional lava lamp, flowing from one thing to another, not sure where I'll land, but maybe for the time being, that is not an awful place to be. Warm, colorful, and always moving. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but following November 5th, I think we're all emotional lava lamps.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Thank you for that image.
Thank
for
you.
sure. So Salaam, just to not to put you on the spot per se, but there was an earlier call that should you find yourself having handy and inspired to read 2 poems, we are here, but certainly please bring us another one.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, I will read 2 poems. Absolutely. I will take that space and take that honor to do that as well. I'll read 2, and I also would put my information in the chat as well, for anyone, my Instagram and then my email. And please feel free to connect and contact me. I love connections and contacts. Yes. Well, sometimes, yeah, but most of the time I'm cool with it. But I'm going to read 2 poems from my chat book, and I have a business called the Literary Healing Arts. And what I do basically is use poetry, storytelling, and the healing power of words to support people in using their voices to heal their lives. So I want to end with 2 poems about healing, and they're from my chat book that I did with the city for my Poet Laureate program. And the first one is Healing is at Hand. Sometimes it feels like it's a foregone thought, but it is here and it's at hand. Healing is at hand, for revolution is at hand. No sister, no mother, no daughter shall witness the blood of her father, son, brother, or lover without the face of truth revealing itself, for healing is at hand, for revolution is at hand. Our children are watching. Our children are no longer waiting. Our children are moving. Our children are speaking. Our children are transforming. Our children are protesting. Our children are listening. Our children are liberating. Our children are telling. Our children are freedom. Healing is at hand, for revolution is at hand. No sister, no mother, no daughter shall witness the blood of her father, son, brother, or lover without the face of truth revealing itself, for healing is at hand. Liberation is at hand. We are free. Healing is at hand. We've got to heal.
Say it.
The next one I want to do is a longer poem, and it was one poem that I did from Poets for Harris anthology during our election cycle last year. And I think it still reckons today, whatever we are reckoning with or decide to reckon with, or wherever we find ourselves in this moment or in this space. I always ask that question of what must we do? Or what are we determined to do? Or what are we deciding to do? So this poem is asking that question on what must we do? It's a proclamation to America, asking America, what is it going to do as it chooses whatever side it chooses? What must we do? Proclamation to America. What must we do to elevate the human race? What must we do to eliminate violence, poverty, and suffering? What must we do, America? We must activate acts of agape love and moments of radical resistance, more joy. We must walk the streets and recognize the beauty therein, the progress, the histories that tell our stories of forgiveness and legacy. What must we do, America? We must take the hands of our youth and guide their hearts into spaces of renewal and transformation. We must blaze a path towards solidarity, unity, and repair. We must become the pathfinders that light the roads toward recovery and kindle the fire of change. We must open up the book of love and read each chapter carefully, page by page, line by line, verse by verse. What must we do, America? We must digest the words of our forefathers, the cries of our little girls, the laughter of our critics, and dare to write our own script. What must we do, America? We must become the America we wish to see, the world we wish to be. We must carry wisdom to the ones that refuse mediocrity and futility. We must grasp hope by the strength of each woven sentence. We must speak up. We must raise our voices. We must rise, America. We must work. We must build. We must be brave. We must remember that we are the caretakers of King's courage, the catalyst of peace, the protection of justice, the genesis of civil rights, the revelation of a mighty, mighty, mighty world. What must we do, America? We must empty our pockets of complaints and fear. We must take great concern and wrap our arms around those who are in poverty. We must give a creed to the giants of greatness. We must embrace that a new day has begun. We must believe. We must be the America we were birthed to be. We must remind the world and the nation that America's beautiful spine shall never bend or break. We must perfect our posture with an unmovable spirit. What must we do? We must recognize we are significant and propel ourselves forward with dignity and align ourselves with rest and resiliency. We must heal together and teach a world how to heal together. We must call forth and gather each citizen, young and old, to sit in the chair of champions and to create their own destiny. What must we do, America? We must be courageous. We must be the America where people people were born to be free, the America we wish to see, the America, the world we know and trust, we all can and desire to be. What must we do? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you lit up the board again. So,
Thank you. Thank you
know.
for asking me to come back. Thank you for this.
Well, and here I am following. So I'm throwing myself on the pyre. But no, that's terrific. I'm so glad we got this extra dose for sure. The passion. So I guess I'm going to be, after a night of partying with your poetry, I will be the Prozac to bring us down. So, 2 poems. This first one is called "Strangers and Other Friends." A friend of mine said to me that on this day of days, he felt the touch of autumn. Imagine being touched in such a way. A season's pearlescent finger crooks forth from some cave, brushes your sleeve, causes you to turn, and in turning, the season draws away, apologizes, says it mistook you for someone else. But isn't that what all the seasons say? And as the season shies back to shade, you call it out. You call it out by name. So the second poem, I had a dull moment during this evening, and swapped this one in with Salaam coming from being in Birmingham. This poem was recently accepted by Atlanta Review, and it's called "Encoded." I'm looking out my window where the branches of the overlapping trees are themselves overlapping and creating such language as branches will do when engaged in the art of spelling, a language of patterns and nonlinear thinking, the way a swift will dart from this point of air to that, as if selecting letters on a keyboard to create a word you've never heard. Though the intricacy of the trees is surely sounding out the syntax of some greater complexity, even perhaps a worldly urgency, as if the swift had rejoined its flock, all now tapping at my window, and I swiftly tapping back, the shattering of glass, a bright glossary, phonetic shards through which the birds and I step quite gingerly, knowing where we now stand is where understanding once stood. All right, Kim Brandon, and after Kim, we're going to have Liz, then Mr. Siegert, then Joan, in whatever creative fashion. And before Kim, you tune in here, Roberta,
Yes,
do you want to bring us to the end?
I certainly want to read. I've been trying to read for about 5 times. I can never connect with you all. There's some kind of problem with Zoom. And I connected last time and I was here for about an hour and 40 minutes and it cut out toward the end. So I had to re-register. I registered and then I re-registered just before because I didn't send acknowledgement. So
This
yeah,
tale of
much.
sorrow.
Oh yes,
Roberta,
well I don't
you're
fret
up.
well.
Roberta,
Okay.
Roberta, you're up. Read to us, please. You are sorry, Kim, in a moment. Roberta, while you're still here, bring it.
Okay, well, I'm here, oh, okay. I've been in Mexico since the middle January, and the first place I went to, I was eating in my usual restaurant. Well, And I hear these sounds in the background, this voice, just a tiny phrase. And I knew it was Cesaria Evora, that wonderful sea singer from Isla Verde, who died recently. So I begin with one of the poems, Evora. On a far continent, amidst the noise, you hear her voice, no other. She is the one who quells the pain, lifts spirits where there is no rain. Across the globe, from another realm, she's alive. We receive. And she is alive in her recording. Here in Mexico, so far away from the Isla Verde Islands, off of Western Africa, I'm sitting here and I hear Evora. Here's a poem I wrote on December 17th. It wasn't exactly manna from heaven you received standing on the corner of Lexington and 3rd, but it was enough when you were choking to death and remembered you were wearing the same coat you had on a month before and pulled from its pocket a little pack of honey you bought from a street vendor that day, tore it open with your teeth, sucked and swallowed it, and was saved. The 765th miracle in your dear life. This poem was really recent. It was in January. It was called Everything and Ozymandias. I don't know if you had to read Ozymandias in high school. This was a poem by Shelley, and it deals with a former tyrant. And I have a number of poems called Tyrant, but I won't read them now. One was published in that wonderful anthology of yours called Mighty. But Ozymandias was, who knows where it was. I mean, there's a statue in the desert that's absolutely crumbled to nothing. And Shelley has a famous poem about that, and I suggest you read it, Ozymandias. Everything and Ozymandias. The tyrant is speaking. It was here for 1,000,000 years. So why did I tear it down? Replace it with my name and my sign. Was fame my goal? To be better than my kind? I disregarded everything. Even the water disappeared, and the mountain crumbled faster than it should. I was God, I thought. My commands changed everything. Even the desert stopped crying.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Roberta, thank you. Are you searching for a third?
I have more.
Yeah.
I have to choose what to read. I wrote something the other day, which is in a different tone. And I saw this on the street. A moment. I wasn't even sure that you knew I was here. This one is called Mantra. And I refer to Jorge Luis in this case, who was Jorge Luis Borges from Argentina, a great writer. And all of his stories are very strange, and they all work out in a certain way. Because sleep was short, I dropped a slip of paper, lost it, and didn't fret very well. So I devised how to fulfill the mission with rattled nerves. When I turned left, not right, I was on an uneventful street and walked further than always, repeating a mantra about perfection, till I reached a park, sat down, and reassembled the pieces of my life. Sparrows and pigeons chattered and cooed. I wrote and stopped, remembering Jorge Luis and the many ways he showed everything was perpetually in a state of perfection. Adolescent gymnast. This happened 2 nights ago. From the middle of a diagonal street I was crossing, I saw her doing splendid cartwheels on a strip of sidewalk she covered with a piece of corrugated cardboard, practicing her art and keeping her hands clean. Was this an act for possible pedestrians and their few coins of appreciation? Or that there was the floor space, or was there no floor space where she lived in crowded rooms with her family? I don't know. Only that as I turned the corner, I gave her a thumbs up, and she knew I saw her, and she knew I saw her. All I could do, and all I wanted to do, and couldn't. Let me read something else.
One more, Roberta, and we'll be good.
It's an old poem, and I wonder how our feature will feel about it. I've had a very good feeling about this, but I dare read it. It's called Aunt Jemima. And you're not supposed to talk about stereotypes, but I don't know about that. But Aunt Jemima to me was a woman from Africa wearing a colorful bandana smiles at you in the kitchen. Was she sent there by a troll from the advertising unit of cereals to give us love through her picture? A woman who was supposed to be the other? Deep in our souls, we remember her, smiling in the kitchen day by day as we ate. She, a loving aunt, someone devised so that what he hoped for happened, her image exaggerated to increase sales of pancakes. She, the woman who probably helped raise him. She, hoping to improve the world. Thank you.
Okay.
I just had a new book that came out in Spanish called Atravesar, to cross over. It's a Kindle book that someone suggested I put out, but it's in Spanish. Came out yesterday.
Well, congratulations on that. What a great outcome to the 18 hours you spent waiting to get a voice here. So persistence is all. So before bringing up Kim, who's up next, let me announce the last 3 readers. Then we'll have Liz and Mr. Siegert and Dr. Goodman will be closing us out. So Kim, come on up.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, and thank you for our feature, Salaam. Those were beautiful poems. I guess I'll start with a poem that I wrote yesterday, and it's a draft, and it's called "The Looking Glass Never Lies." I'm sorry, that's not the name. It's "Who Says the Looking Glass Never Lies?" When it never says, "Watch and listen to what is not said." At Big Mama's Big Top Circus, the look at me glass is warped, is waxed and coated in betrayal. When the looking glass never says, "You're all right, baby," it lies. The truth is a lie when covered by omission. You are not deformed by birth order, poverty, hue, or circumstance. When it never says, "You all right, baby," it lies. When it never says, "Be still, feel the breath of the Almighty," things are not as they appear. You are all right, baby. It lies. When it never says, "You have survived your mother's haunted house ride, baby." You are all right, baby. The mirror lies. When it never says, "Your big, beautiful heart, a plump, beating black miracle, has grown monarch wings," it lies. When it never says, "Take up your bed and walk," better still, no, you leave it there. You no longer need that kind of sleep. Baby, oh baby, leave it there. You are all right, baby. If it never says you are all right, baby, it lies. When it never says, "Let your reflection say your truth, baby." You are not a kaleidoscope of distortions. Trace your devotion along the edge of a blooming soul. Find your image with your eyes closed. Leave the shell of your crevice as you would yesterday's ill-fitted orthotics as proof. Leave them there as proof that when the mirror never says, "You're okay, baby," the mirror lies. So that's one. And then this one, we did this anthology, Winter in America again, and it's poets respond to the 2024 election. It's 100 poets. And I'll just read my one poem in here, and it's called "No Matter What Happens, Don't Move." My father gathered us together, his children, then gathered up all the rusty, dented, leftover cans of house bait from the floor in the hallway closet. He heard them first before he saw them. The police were coming again. This time their sirens raging war, breaking small fragments of peace found on the poverty line, popping the lids off like flipping pancakes, them smelling of turpentine like burnt offerings, him pouring them over us, his children, heavy globs dripping, coating everything below, our crowns, our new and our hand-me-down clothes. He put his fingertips to his lips to silence us, his eyes pleading, "Be still, my children, be still." The door was pushed in. He was knocked down. He was punched, kicked. Guns were jammed up into his face. He was handcuffed. He was dragged away from us. The paint dried. We had not been seen, had not been discovered. We are now the same baby blue from the bathroom walls, canary yellow from the kitchen walls, soft butterscotch gold from the living room walls, safe and invisible for the time being, as long as we do not move. And I'll read one more if that's okay.
You know, it'd be hard to top yourself. It's so good.
And I had the honor of having a poem published in last year's journal from CAPS. So I wanted to read that because that was so nice to be included. And my poem here is called Kintsugi. And kintsugi is this art. It's a Japanese art where if something breaks, you put it back together with gold inlays. And in the gold inlays, they say the bowl is now stronger because it has been broken and repaired. And that's what this poem is. Here we go. When you were gone, that first night alone swallowed joy, spit out the vision of a sweet tomorrow. Like the emperor's teapot shattered, the heart fell to the floor broken, a low song of sorrow humming at dawn. A black swan floated at the edge of despair. To keep visual for 27 sunsets for your love to return. The ripped paper sonnets gave way to the lingering, salty kisses of loss. It was only when the teapot steeped to perfection and was poured, an extended hand steady with compassion, offered a hot sip of a new season, the teapot of you repaired by minutes gone by. The bright gold inlays boldly holding together a stronger heart where imperfections that masqueraded as loneliness gave way to the enduring, yet forgetful strength of readying the heart to love again. When life caresses and life shakes and life trembles us up. So thank you, and I'll pass. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Excellent work. And that second poem in particular, the way you used pacing and rhythm and the flow to when it would slow enough for impact and then become urgent was just really so effective. So thank you for that. Liz Riley.
Okay, hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Let's see what I got. Really two political poems for you, but I'll end on a happier note. The first one is brand new bouncing baby. It's only about 48 hours old. Still very much a draft. So here we go. Boy howdy. Much better and more majestic. No idea where that could have come from. Aided and abetted with the concept of a plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a visionary man.
Oh, show us.
Again, no idea where this could come from. He's saving the country. He's taking it back again. Saying the right words, hitting the right notes. Anything to sell a new coup, a new drug. He's saving us. It's a new dawn, a new father, a new land. Let's keep on rocking. Here's another one. Another visionary man. Oh, you just have to understand when he throws his right arm, it's harmless irony. He's a special boy. A new and ruthless man, running fast and breaking things. You just have to understand. Let's keep on rocking. Here's another one today. Here's another one. He went to Dachau today. He said the words, he made the gestures. He furrowed his precious, pious brow. He's so inspired, and he too has a vision now. Don't ask about his vicious brand. We don't have time for details. We have a visionary man. So let's keep on rocking. Don't ask about the kids, the jobs, the crops, the shelters. Don't ask about the next disease. They're coming for your children, queers and degenerates, immigrants and pronouns. My God, run and donate now. Don't ask about the children swallowing pills. Don't ask about my friend who chose the river. Don't ask about my friend who chose the blade. Don't ask about any of this. Send more support. Enter your credit card here. The price of eggs went up. The price of gas went up. Send money now. We're surrounded and they don't even speak English. My God, send more money. There's a queer under every bed. They're coming for you, Barbara. They're coming for your sweet apple pie. They're coming on your picket fence. Wire the funds and call the cops. Praise the Lord and post a meme. Send $29.99 right now to make freedom ring. Donate to make the nation great again and to keep your bloodline clean. Let's keep on rocking. Let's keep on rocking. Whew. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz. But you failed to mention where I can send my $29.99 to. If you could put the address in the chat.
Put a Venmo in there, yeah.
will
Just
be
Cash
good.
App, it's
I
fine.
appreciate that. Okay, cool.
And that's on sale too. Freedom is on sale right
Yeah,
now.
20 by midnight, of course.
Yes, by midnight,
Okay.
and then the price goes up. Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Mr. Seeger, please, you're up.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. You probably should just send your credit card information. That would be better than cash. So I have something from my new book that came out 4 months ago. I'm glad to say that it's already been selected to be on display at the Poets House in the city, and where it will rest in its permanent archives. So that makes me very proud. I wrote this just a little over 2 years ago, and I won't say I'd forgotten it, but I didn't know if it was relevant anymore until somebody talked to me about it yesterday and said, "This is an anniversary piece. You should read it." So I will. Political in a way, I will say. Last winter light. First world problems. The room was growing darker as the last vestiges of late winter's day gray light seeped through the leaded glass windows of the den. Rising from the chair, you throw several pieces of well-seasoned split white ash, along with a prized piece of Osage orange, into the hearth, quickly closing the glass doors. "That should hold us for most of the night," you said. Though it wasn't really clear if that statement was directed towards me or the hourglass urn upon the mantel. A cup of English tea is steaming on a lone stone coaster, residing upon an antique cedar chest facing the chair where you will spend a good deal of the evening. The dark, well-oiled cedar glistens in the flickering light of the fire, while flashing lights and the rumble of a passing plow on the lane just beyond the lone stone wall gives you a sense of assurance that all is being taken care of and not to worry. But as you carefully choose whether to swirl a spoonful of bourbon honey or lemon honey into your tea, you pause to ponder your situation. Could the tranquility of your well-ordered life possibly be only an intensifying state of melancholy? Are you actually living on the time-honored family estate, or merely a caretaker of a piece of aging real estate from a bygone era? First world problems, you reason, attempting to dismiss your predicament. You take a long, slow sip of your tea. Your eyes survey the room from the bookcases, to the piano, to the globe, past the Moreau, settling on the Kandinsky print your father purchased in Switzerland. A museum of sorts, you suppose. You told me that your sister has asked you multiple times to come to Florida and live the easy life. Easy for her, you scoffed. She's living off her inheritance, plus her half of the estate that I bought, and matrimony, enough to afford pricey high-rise condo on the beach and expensive German automobiles. Not exactly a generator of wealth for herself or her community, as is your family's tradition. Besides, fetching beside the pool, playing cards, or snorting cocaine just aren't activities that you hold dear. Not insignificantly, you always remind her that there aren't any alligators in New England. And as the steward of the family's local philanthropies, shouldn't you have an obligation to reside locally? Oh, excellent excuses. Excellent. Additionally, whether he appreciates it or not, your son relies on your frequent counsel in administrating what is left of the family business. He's hanging on to what hasn't evaporated, you lament, Your primary enterprise recently, however, has been trying to come to terms with what is actually present-day Western business evolution and what appears increasingly to be a unique American de-evolution. Devo. You could lecture a graduate course on this subject, but feel powerless to do anything. You eventually reach for the remote resting beside you to catch the local evening news, brilliantly washing the den with LED flat screen's electronic glow. The program opens with a tease about the weather, a Hollywood celebrity scandal, and news of new dysfunction within the federal government. Then segues into an advertisement for a Swedish car much like yours tearing through pristine snowdrifts in a fashion that none who would actually purchase the car like this would ever actually do. You hit the mute. You soon switch to an international cable news station and glance at the crawl. The Russians did what? You quickly punch on mute. A chill shoots down through your spine. Befitting a gentleman of habitual reserve, you take another sip of tea. And during this moment of totally restrained silence, discreetly ask yourself, what the fuck? Thank you.
Good ending.
There you are.
Good
There we
ending.
are, 2 years back, right?
No, we've had
Nothing's improved.
we've heard many poems this evening which have had strong ending lines, and going to be a tight race. Thank you, Jim. Okay, we're going to have Joan, and then Mr. Zimmerman will close us out. So, Joan, you're up. And you're on mute.
I said, so I'm the penultimate, and I thought I was last, so I made my choices. I don't
You
know,
can be last if you want to give up that berth. I'm sure Jim would jump in before you. So
feels
your
very
choice.
strange, actually, to have gone after all of, just it was such a lavish and varied display that I'm almost speechless. I'm not sure what to do. Well, you choose. Shall I go now or go next?
I'm going to call up Jim Zimmerman because I neglected him anyway. So this is a little payback, from the gods.
All right.
Jim, if you're ready, come on up, and then
Payback
Joan
from the
will
gods.
grace us.
How much time do I have? Because I'm trying to decide whether to read one or two.
Oh, I'm not sure how long they are, but you have like 5 minutes, certainly, solidly.
Okay.
Yeah, give us two.
5.
Okay, and I'm going to break the mold a little bit here. I know this is a sacrilege, but I'm going to read something that's really not poetry. So I hope you will all forgive me for that. This is called The Fable of the Bear, the Eagle, and the Nightingale. And it's translated from the ancient Greek. Once upon a time, there was a nightingale who lived in a land with lots of cows and bees, so it was known as the land of milk and honey, or Loma for short. And oh yeah, there were huge fields of wheat. And oh yeah, again, some really healthy deposits of rare earth elements. So there was this bear that lived next door, and he decided he wanted some of that honey. So he barged into Loma and said, "Hi, I'm taking about half your honey, but you can keep the rest if you want to." And the nightingale said, "What do you mean you're taking that? Of course I want the rest. In fact, I want all of it because it's mine." But the bear was too big and strong, and the other neighbors didn't say anything. So that was that. And then a few years later, the bear got thirsty, so he barged into Loma once more and said, "I'll take the milk too to wash down the honey." The nightingale pushed back, but the bear was gaining ground when all of a sudden the eagle that lived on the other side of the lake noticed what was going on, got a little worried. So he said, "Wait a minute there, hold on. I'm hungry too, and though I don't really like wheat that much, I could use it to lure the other animals out of their dens and nests so I could trade for some steaks and fish and stuff. Now, the eagle didn't really want to fight the bear over the milk and honey and wheat, big claws and jaws after all, and the bear couldn't really figure out how to jump up in the air and grab the eagle. So they decided to talk it over between themselves. The nightingale got wind of this and said, "Hey, what about me? It's my stuff, isn't it?" But the bear and the eagle were too busy divvying up the milk and honey and wheat to pay any attention. And by the way, the truth is they both knew that the real story was about the rare earth elements anyway. The bear had tried to take over by force, which proved harder than anticipated, and the eagle offered to fix up the nightingale's land in return for half of the rare earths. But the nightingale said, "Nothing doing. This is my land, and I want to keep it that way." The bear and the eagle just looked at each other and snickered and winked and stuff, and then divided the nightingale's land in half. One side with milk and honey for the bear, the other with wheat for the eagle to trade. And it was certainly no surprise to anyone, including the other animals, that they also split the rare earths between them. So everybody was happy forever after, except the nightingale, of course. Let's not forget the nightingale. And there's another fable. This one is actually adapted from the ancient Latin. It's called A Fable for Our Time, The Fox in the Henhouse Revisited. There's this fox, see, and he's really, really good at breaking into the henhouse. He can get in any time he wants and take whichever hens and chicks he chooses with impunity and no repercussions, and certainly without any regard for the effect of his skill on the chicken population as a whole. So he goes to the chicken farmer and says, "You know, you got a real problem with security around your hen house. I can go in anytime I want and take whichever hens and chicks I want, and you can't do anything about it." And the farmer says, "Yeah, you're right. It's a real problem. It's making it so I'm not so sure I can even keep the farm going. I'm feeling like a loser, but what can I do?" "Well, here's my plan," said the fox. "Since I'm the best one in the world at breaking into your hen house, I'm the only one who knows how to fix the problem. So what you should do is hire me to tell you how to keep your hens and chickens safe. I can make your farm great again. What do you say?" Farmer says, "That's a really totally awesome idea. Why didn't I think of that in the first place? You're on." So the fox designs a really, really beautiful system for protecting the hens and chicks, much easier to understand than the one the farmer had originally, and the farmer is totally happy. "Life is really great again," he says. But after a while, he notices his poultry population is continuing to decline. The ones that are left seem really anxious and off their feed, and the fox and his family are getting sleeker and happier all the time. In fact, the Fox family members begin to design and build Fox and family hotels and Airbnbs and VRBOs on chicken farmland all over the country. And they build tall, beautiful walls around each chicken farm to keep raccoons, coyotes, and other foxes out. Eventually, the situation gets so bad that the farmer decides to give up his farm, declare bankruptcy, and sell off the few remaining hens and chicks and even his last rooster to the fox and his beautiful family. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you for setting the stage for God knows what Joan is going to bring us. So Joan, you're on the outro here. Now, I like the way your camera is panning your face, so very, very theatrical. So take it away.
God knows. I'm winging it here. Because I've gone through evolutions here, deciding what to start with. This is called Canyon Road, and I might as well say on the way toward Boulder, as in Colorado. Arm, 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 head, Penis. I am a singer. In what part of my body is located the song? Where is the body of my knowledge located? Within my body? Is there a cup, a vessel, a water source? Pride and the very poet's hand? Pen is olfactory. This is not my moment. Hand, hand, toenail, carved crescent moon, water torture. These poems, words to make you feel better. Make that double, no rocks, just a splash. Travel over rocky stream bed, clear except for fish head, scale, polluted. Too much diesel. Trucks in excess of 18,000 pounds must use alternate route. Haul it. On this canyon road, bird song. Tourists climbing boulders jog that path beneath the mining road. Too important and too heavy. Use alternative route. This phrase, if only dogs could talk. The pines are taller, needles deeper green. Along this road, they say, Lewis and Clark traveled. The squaw had to carry her own burden. It's really funny. I'm digging back. This like 1993. Does anybody remember being alive back then? See. I had so many recent ones to read you, and then I decided I would take a trip down memory lane. Here we go. This one's called Brief. Once upon a time, I did work for the tax department. I write very brief ones between the lines, between the Xeroxing and the memos, between the boss's visits, before I clock out, while I still can use the laser printer. I write what I remember as soon as I think of it, as quickly as possible, looking over my shoulder until I get lost in it and forget to look and I get caught. But it's worth it. I write because I have to, though I'm not supposed to, not on Marlowe's dollar, Mario's dollar anyway, because I'm using up daylight under fluorescence, looking busy, so the unit looks good, wishing I were looking through the window if I had one, and wanting to walk out the door. I write between interruptions, learning to trust that I'll get it back later. I'll get back to it somehow, between the household chores, between the carpools, between the dishes and the laundry, 'cause I never do the dusting, and the books pile up unread. And I love what I'm doing, and I know I'm a lover, because no one but a lover would do what hurts and say yes. And I write between people, and I write around people, and I write through people, through the people I love. But I have to keep it brief because people are waiting, and I'm on the job 24 hours a day. It's the 90s woman. It's the way to do it all, between the day job and the night job, and often between the lines. And there's no time to edit. Life's fired at you point blank. It's love it or leave it, but I won't till I'm through. It's just such a kick to read these old poems. Okay. Here's a blast from the open mic days, right?
Okay.
Yeah, been at open mics, I'm sure. It's called Colleen. Pretty Colleen, she showed up with friends, laughed in a corner, strode up to the mic in a long cotton skirt, spoke of loving his feet, spoke of sweat in the summer, the wood on the porch stair, the sweetness in the unabashed stare of young love, of something forbidden and nothing hidden, of something too young to know itself, but knowing too well, and wanting too much too soon, with no doubt of its effect, and unsure of the upshot. She spoke lyrically. She spoke of much more than she realized. She knew my youth and my desire, but she dared what I had not, and left me lost in thought, wishful, admiring, respectful, chastened. She left without a last name, but wanting nothing, and I hope to hear her again.
You were talking at the top of the whole reading about comments about your talking habits, which I'm not familiar with as such, but may I say that your writing habits are, full of concision and control. So thank you for bringing us up to the end. Also, your comments about 1994, everybody's weighing in about where they are in their lives relative to that. And I'm going to add mine without putting it in the chat by saying, I think some of you and others of you not will have been, will get online to, let's just say, for a medical visit. And in registering online, they're asking you for your birth date. And you put in the month and then you put in the day. And then when it comes to the year, right, it's got all the years listed. And may I say, I am at the point of having to scroll down and scroll down, scroll down until I come to my birth year. And that just is, that's the tale that tells itself. So listen, two things, okay? First of all, another warm round, perhaps now, of unmuted applause for Salaam for being here tonight and giving us an excellent reading of her work, and thanking her again for coming back for the open mic and giving us some more. And I will never hold this proxy position again if I don't mention the invitation. I can hear Mike's voice in my head for CAPS. The next upcoming is the usual first Friday of the month, and that's March 7th, 7 p.m. And the features will be, and she's a good friend of mine, but it still took me 5 years to learn how to pronounce her name, Joanne Deudisibus, Professor Tom Festa, take that, Joan Goodman, and Joanne Matthews. So Friday, March 7th, hope to see some of your faces. I hope to see mine. And thank you all for being part of this really special evening. And I will leave Greg for any parting comment and or to shut the evening down.
Ken, who told you to call me doctor? Was it Greg?
No, it was, I think it was you, but we'll take that offline. We'll take that offline.
I told Greg this morning, only my mother remembers. I've forgotten a long time ago.
No, honestly, that was just extemporaneous, so who knew? That's how magical the night was. So there you go.
Great job, Ken.
Your faces. Roberta, I'm so glad you got on. Loved hearing your words and everybody else's. So be well. I'm going to go make dinner. It's after 9 o'clock, and that's my life.
Great job, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Remember to vote
reading,
for me.
everyone.
Nice work. Nice work.
All right.
Hey,
Till the next.
everyone. See you